We are excited to host our 12th annual Smart Energy Summit and want to thank Osiaco for their sponsorship support of this year's 12th annual event. I've got Lawrence Schmidt joining us today to share more about his role in the company's initiatives. So thank you so much, Laurent, for being here. And again, we're really appreciate your support of this year's event. So if we can just start for a moment and see if you can give a brief introduction of your role and the role that Osiaco is playing in the energy market today.
Yes, so thank you for having us today. Osiaco is a company which has been working onto the integration of distributed energy resources into the residential and prosumer markets. And I myself in charge in Osiaco of the activities related to utilities as well as our European developments. What we have been seeing in the past few months is a very rapid transformation of energy system to prepare for further climate change mitigation, being able to reduce the carbon footprint of energy system, and that has driven to the massive introduction of renewable at all scale of the energy system, whether it's wind, photovoltaics, but as well as new technologies for decarbonizing the transportation, electrical vehicles. And while we introduce renewable into the energy system, more interest for flexibility to balance and manage the energy system, which really question how to best integrate and optimize the flexibility of distributed energy resources into the prosumer back into to the utility and wholesale market. So we are really on the journey on optimizing the integration of distributed energy resources, looking primarily at residential markets, and into the journey of the prosumer wanting to play his role in the energy transition and become low carbon users in the future.
Well, that's great. And there's certainly a major transformation going on right now as the residential and commercial markets are looking to really reduce their overall carbon footprint. Recently, we've had a major energy crisis here in Texas. It's a beautiful day today, but just recently we had many across the state with power outages as a result of the supply really not being able to meet the demand. And I wonder if you might be able to comment a little bit on your perspective of that situation in Texas.
I think the Texas situation has been an eye-opener to the worldwide energy environments, in the fact that energy systems are becoming severely exposed to weather catastrophes, and basically to the complexity of maintaining the energy system life without blackout during these periods. And let's be honest, I think everyone, every prosumer start to realize that it's becoming almost impossible to rely in the future on an electrical system which is going to be available all the time. I think what these catastrophes, and we really sincerely hope everything is going to be recovered soon, is going to question the energy system is overall managed, and how is the resiliency of this energy system maintained, and the role of the prosumer into this resiliency aspect. So of course, one of the key elements is what should be the role of photovoltaics and vehicle parked in a home during these extreme periods. Why don't we enable a vehicle to home into these critical periods, while we know the power electronics storage are available, and we are launching a product, Decibel, which is enabling a vehicle to home, vehicle to grid functionality. And I think we think these extreme weather events are basically accelerators of these new integration which we see happening into the smart home environment.
Well, we certainly are seeing with our research that consumers have a willingness and really a desire to get their electricity from providers who not only have traditional sources of energy, but also the renewable energy sources. So our latest data shows that 43% of consumers prefer energy providers that offer both. So I think this is going to continue, as everybody has more awareness. And the situation in Texas, I didn't think about my electricity 2 weeks ago at all, and now it is very much top of mind. I asked my husband to buy a generator. So people will respond to the crisis in different ways. But let's get back on some of the other market drivers and trends that you're seeing. So could you share maybe 3 of the top things that you think are happening in the market that will help push things forward?
So the first trend which we really see happening is this need for decarbonizing the energy system on its normal operation periods, and the very rapid introduction of renewable and electrical vehicle at the edge of the system, as well as heat pumps. And here the amount of flexibility in the same time needs to be increased into the system. And here there is a new dilemma on how to integrate distributed energy resources into the home. While these were demand response, PV, and storage were historically siloed in terms of approach, I think they need to be further integrated into the home and thought from a single interface point of view back into the grid. The second element which we see happening is the large amount of IoT available, or I would say smart devices, which is maybe more the term in the US, available in the home environment. A lot of potential smart usage data, but what we see is a missing orchestration and interface layers across this environment, particularly when it comes to energy management services. So that's the second element. And the last one is what I was just referring before, is this a notion of bottom-up resiliency. And here we are not anymore in an environment where we want to optimize or minimize carbon footprint, but we're in an environment where we need to save life, and where we need to find, I would say, every possible resources available during these extreme scenarios, whether they are local diesel generators, vehicle to grid, or dedicated storage. And I think here that will require a different way of integrating all these devices through power electronics. And this power electronics will need to be, in a way, grid forming. So being able to form the frequency when the grid will not be able and will not be available anymore. And in order to be able to safeguard, I would say, emergency critical loads into these prosumers' house. So these are really 3 trends happening in parallel, and that's going to revolutionize, I think, what prosumer need at the interface of the smart home.
Well, certainly consumers are able to be an active participant here, and collectively really have a large impact. Can you share a little bit more about Decibel and that specific technology? It's maybe a little bit complicated, so maybe break it down for us to easily understand what's unique about the technology.
So the first element of the technology is to be an inverter technology. So that's converting AC to DC and DC to AC. And it's capable of connecting various DC direct current device together without going through the AC. So that makes this conversion much more efficient. So if you convert PV into battery, for instance, you only go through a single conversion rather than going through various stages. So it's much more efficient at the power conversion level, as an example. But it also allows to make use of the battery of an electrical vehicle exactly the same way as a standalone battery, as an example. On the top of this voltage source inverter, so voltage source is the technology being used. We also use an IoT environment and a platform which is capable of orchestrating devices around the inverter. So we think the inverter will real-time interact with the rest of the devices into the home, but as well as interaction with the cloud and with the utilities, and being able to use and connect with real-time price, with the DER forecasts and so on, to be able to enhance the customer journey when it comes to optimizing his energy in his I would say, PV, EV, and house environment?
Well, it's certainly a market and in transition, and I think technologies like yours are going to play a key role in the future. And so we want to thank you again for your time today and for your support of Parks Associates' 12th Annual Smart Energy Summit. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. Thank you for the event.
Utilities worldwide are driving a clean energy revolution, moving boldly toward net zero goals on a rapid timeline. You are fundamentally changing how we power our planet by cutting emissions at greater speed and scale, establishing renewables as paramount in the energy mix, and helping millions of energy customers realize their own power to create change and protect the planet. We are proud to provide AI-powered data insights as a roadmap to accelerate the climate race. Because together, we can leverage data-driven customer intelligence to guide smarter energy decisions, harness business intelligence to yield maximum efficiency, electrification, and renewable energy returns, and use grid intelligence to build the smart infrastructure we need to move us closer to a resilient and carbon-neutral world. We applaud the energy leaders who are demonstrating the power of intelligence to create a better tomorrow. Our future depends on it, and the world is counting on us. Together, we can remain future ready.
The Connected Consumer.
Our mission is to make life cleaner, greener, and safer for consumers, for people, and greener is a big part of that. The company really focuses a lot of attention on climate change, and that not only in our operations but also in the technology that we develop. A lot of it is really used across a bunch of different sectors to help reduce climate change.
For the past 3 years, about 1/3 of broadband households have made energy-saving home improvements each year.
And so we're seeing a lot of activity in the smart building space to make those systems smarter, to deliver the right cooling and heating and airflow for people, but to use sensing to make that better than it has been in the past. We've all been in commercial buildings where it's clear the building just doesn't know we're there, right? Or doesn't know what the temperature is. It's a common frustration, and I'm happy to say that with the new technologies coming out, a lot of those problems are going to be solved.
Can you talk about how they're involved? You guys are involved in the production of clean electricity that's going to be powering our electric vehicles in the future?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I think that's a super exciting space, and like I said, that's a big part of the overall energy consumption. So almost 12% or the greenhouse gas emissions, almost 12% globally are from vehicles. We work with many of the big automakers. We're one of the biggest suppliers in the auto industry. Many of these companies are intending to introduce a lot of new electric vehicles. It takes them years to introduce new models, and so we're often working with them on products, their new vehicles that'll come out in a few years. And across the board, tremendous number of new models that will be electric vehicles over the course of the next few years.
If you miss a live session, you can go back at any time to watch on demand. Go to Watch Replays and click on the session that you want to view. Have you created your own event agenda and swap card? Visit the Agenda and Watch Replay tabs to add sessions that interest you to your own event. You can go back to My Event to revisit any bookmarked sessions, sponsors, and items. We want to make sure that you're connecting with our industry-leading sponsors. You can interact with them by visiting the Booths and the Sponsor tab. You can also bookmark sponsors or add items to your event to view later. Sponsors have uploaded extra materials for attendees. Make sure to visit sponsors that interest you to chat with one of their team members or save documents for later. We have dedicated meeting slots set up for break times between sessions. Continue the discussion by requesting meetings from others in the SwapCard platform. Schedule a meeting with another attendee or a sponsor by visiting their page. The panelists and speakers will be addressing your questions live during the stream. During the stream, use the question tab to ask your questions early in the presentation. Go to the poll tab to answer polls that will be discussed during the live stream. If you need help navigating SwapCard, please reach out to our team by mentioning @Parks Associates in the chat box or by contacting one of our team members via our company page. Hello, we're excited to welcome you to Smart Energy Summit. For decades, Parks Associates has studied the impact of technology on the consumer and utility markets. Smart Energy Summit Engaging the Consumer addresses the evolution of these markets, the impact of COVID-19 on energy management programs, and new opportunities to drive engagement in utility-sponsored programs. COVID-19, along with a growing focus on green energy solutions, has added new drivers to adoption of energy management products at home, as well as new interest in solar, electric vehicles, and other solutions that will help households save energy and become more self-sufficient. At Smart Energy Summit, we'll present our latest consumer research showing the impact of COVID-19 on attitudes and usage regarding energy at home, as well as the expansion and monetization of energy management and other energy-focused offerings through consumer engagement, new business models, unique partnerships, and innovative technologies. Thank you for joining us at Smart Energy Summit.